Hey guys, Santoli here with another YouTube video talking about the new time rules this time. I'm not going to talk about the topic of policy. I may do a video on that. I may wait and see how it actually kind of pans out. Maybe one of those things which is just better to wait and see. This one I'm talking specifically about the time rules, and I've seen a lot of negative reactions, and I really don't think that they're justified at all. I think you YouTubers, as well as just YouTubers and Yu-Gi players in general, are very negative about things, and they have a really knee-jerk negative reaction to things without giving a chance to actually either sit down and think through the positives that come from it, or just give a chance to see, and you just have positives come out regardless of what the initial thoughts on what it looks like on paper. But I think it's very clear to me, at least, that this change is going to be a positive one in terms of the time rules. So if you haven't seen yet, it's that you now have 50 minutes for your 3 games in a match. At the end of 50 minutes, it's just a double game loss. So there's no time rules or anything like that. It's just you lose if you get to that time. And so first we should actually talk about what do these rules do effectively and why do they actually fix a lot of issues. And so the problem with the old time rules was 2 things. One is that you had people who would ID last round of Swiss, or even earlier last round of Swiss, at a YCS, and they would get a draw intentionally, and they would then top like that, pushing out some of the X2s that should top instead. And the other positive thing that this rule is aiming to get rid of is that now it punishes people and doesn't incentivize them at all to slow play and scum people in time. Before, you could do scummy things like just enter game 3 with a minute left, burn them, and win like that. Or you could be ahead in life and a completely unwinnable game state, and you would just win because you're slow playing. And the new time rules solve both those issues completely. You no longer can ID and get reward from that. You actually have to play your games and win in order to get to top cut. And you can no longer scum people at all in any way, shape, or form and get an advantage like that when going close to time and trying to win like that. You actually have to go and win your games out. And so this new rule does a great job of removing the negative consequences of the other rule. And I don't see anyone talk about that. Most people are just kind of knee-jerk reaction about the negatives they think they're going to come out, which I'll talk about in a second, without acknowledging the fact that it does very much solve an existing issue of the game. We've all had moments, hopefully not too many, but moments where you get screwed over in time, and those will not exist anymore with people's ill intent in mind. So the question is, are there any negative consequences of this new rule? And there's one real one, I think, and there's one that people are talking about being massive, which I think is a complete overreaction in every sense of the word. The actual negative consequence is the fact you're going to have some long games sometimes. They're just natural, fun, long games of Yu-Gi-Oh! That will go into time and you'll get a double game loss. And that is unfortunate. I think this is a side effect, and the one negative I actually think is associated with this new time rule. But the big thing to keep in mind is 50 minutes is a long time. The extra 5 minutes adds a lot. If you're playing at a reasonable pace, which I think some people don't, and they're going to get annoyed with the fact that they have to play quicker now, but I think that's a good thing. If you are playing reasonable pace, you should not be going to time much. It's very rare in an event that I actually go to time at all. I probably go to a time once every 2-3 events, and considering how many events I play, I think it's saying something, especially because I play nonsense decks a lot and people have to read cards. I'm still not going close to time all the time. And so you shouldn't be going close to time much. Even some games where you'll have 30-minute game ones, 35-minute game ones, you'll still have a lot of those games to be able to wrap up the other 2 matches in 10-15 minutes. Like I said, there's going to be some scenarios where you do get screwed over, but these grinding games are also where people are most willing to give kind of those, I'll scoop out of honor scenarios. Because if you have a 40-minute game 1, and then game 2, you're in a commanding position, you actually played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! People aren't going to be super frustrated at those kind of scenarios. You usually get frustrated when you get high rolled, the game's 2 minutes, there's no end action. If you actually have a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Those are the most likely times where people are going to honor that. Even if you don't, I think that's just a super small subset if you're playing a reasonable pace. If you're not playing a reasonable pace, play quicker, you shouldn't be going to time that much. The other issue that people talk about, which I think is completely ridiculous, it will happen a bit, but very, very little, is that people are just going to randomly scum people over and suicide draw. Or suicide lose in this case. And there's multiple issues with it. One is the fact that we're kind of misrepresenting why we had people scum people in the past at all. The reason why we had people scum people in the past in time and do 1 minute burns with 1 minute time left, or just stall, not let them get a battle phase, isn't because they want to be malicious and watch people suffer. They just want to win. They have incentive to do something to screw over someone else so they get benefits. The old time rules incentivized players to be malicious. The new time rules don't do that in any way, shape, or form. And so even if you look at some of these players whom you may know personally, and maybe they're locals, maybe you see them in regionals, who are a bit more malicious with the old time rules, they don't have incentive to do that anymore. They don't gain anything. And one step further is that they also don't want to be in a position where they're going close to time. Because these people who have scum people over, or who are shady in their head, they're probably going to be thinking that, hey, other people are going to do that to me. So I can't give them the chance to then go and scum me. So these are the players, more than anyone, I think, will be playing quick games and trying to stay away from time so they don't have it happen to them. there's no incentive to take a slow pace of the game from minute one. If you were starting that game, your goal is to win that game. That's what you obviously play the game for. And the new rules now incentivize you playing quickly. And so it's not going to be the scenario of, them going, oh, I'm in a losing position, I'm just going to, slow play for the rest of the match. No, like unless the match is a 40-minute game one, a lot of times the match is going to play a quick game one. They're going to lose it. There's going to be 40 minutes left. They don't have the ability to actually just stall like that. And if they do, they're going to lose. They're either going to give up winning game two and put them in a position where they can get screwed over. Like both this mentality that someone's going to screw someone else over just randomly, even if you don't believe people are good actors, which I don't fully believe. I think many people have played this game for fun. Even if you don't believe people are good actors, for self-interest, everyone has their interest of staying as far away from time as possible and playing quickly. And so these rules are really good, not because the community is necessarily good, but because they do the correct thing in incentivizing people to play quick and stay away from time. Are you going to have the weird scenario where you go and you have some grindy games, you get close to time, and someone's just like, you know what, something happened in the match, and screw you, we're going to take the loss and go down together? Sure, it's going to happen sometimes, but that could also happen with the old time rules. The big thing is now with the new time rules is it incentivizes clean play, incentivizes you to play fast. Again, not because people are going to do it to be a good person and to have this, right mindset, I don't want to screw anyone over. Because if they want to win, the best chance of winning is avoiding the other person screwing them over with bad time rules. And so they're incentivized to play fast. And so I think Takami did a very good job with time rules, because I think this idea that there's just going to be these random suicide losses everywhere is ridiculous. It will happen sometimes, but much, much rarer than the draws or the wins in time we have now. Because like I said, the incentive's not there. I think one potential problem that could arise is late on in the YCS, on the bubble. You see people playing, maybe you have a friend that is playing as well, and from tiebreakers from the math round one, there's going to be one or two X2s that miss. Now this is one of those times where, hey, I may go down with the ship. But even then, I think that's a much more malicious approach that a very small subset of people will have. And again, that's also something that could just be done in the old time rules. Like the new time rules don't really change anything with that. The number of people that would suicide lose for someone last round compared to the people who would, scum someone in time or just ID is going to be significantly lower. And so overall, the time rules do a great job of fixing the older issues that the old time rules had by changing incentives. And they do, a good job of avoiding unnecessary problems. Like I said, the only real one is when you get to those grindy games, and those sucks, but I think that's a very, very small subset of games that will actually happen. So overall, very happy with the new time rules. Let me know what you think of the new time rules, whether you're one of these people who think they're awful, or if you think that there'll be a good improvement in the game. Regardless, I don't think this is one of the things Konami will go back on, so I think it's at least good to go in with an open mind and see how they are. Till next time, guys.